Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, the host of the Shout Out Show, the SOS. I hope that you're having a fabulous Saturday. I have the pleasure of uh, doing the show remotely from my mama's kitchen. This is Mary's kitchen. A lot of good things happen in this kitchen. A lot of good food, a lot of cholesterol levels higher than they should have been happen in this kitchen. I hope everybody's, like I said, having a good and a blessed Saturday. You know, these type of days are really interesting because I tend to think they're laid back, but I began to realize, these Saturday spotlights actually they're important. They have a purpose, and I realized, the idea of giving information or sharing information with people, it's a trust. Not just sharing information with people, but honestly sharing information with people. Uh, Things they may not know, things that may be able to help them, things that may be able to soothe bonds, things that may be able to grow your family, things that may be able to lift you out of situations that you're in, and Saturdays was always a good day. Saturdays for me was when I was a kid. I go out the door out here in the back and I fire up the lawnmower. I cut the grass early in the morning. I cut my neighbor's grass and a couple of lawns, and then I get my money, and then I call my friends about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and then we would go play basketball all day long. But of course, it came after I finished all my chores and my job that I had. You know, the subject matter I want to talk about today, which I will get to, is why the poor matter. Why the poor matter. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of giving a speech at a masjid, and it was after Taraweeh prayers, about 12:30, um, and being able to talk to people who maybe I normally wouldn't have. It's a masjid. It wasn't a black folks masjid. Just let's say that. But it was my Pakistani Indian, my brothers nonetheless, and being able to have this conversation about why the poor matter, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of revisit that. Before we can do that, though, if you're coming on the show for the first time, you're a rookie on the Shout Out Show. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you. I don't want to overlook the fact that people have good intentions, even with this show, with so many things going on. And I also know that it's Ramadan. People tune into the show. Alhamdulillah, this, of course, is part of our Ramadan 30 for 30. But people coming here on the show, I appreciate them. And I want to make sure that I give them what old folks used to say. I want to give them that water, that good food that they can take with other folks. Not good food that you can eat or water you can drink. Just stuff that's good for the soul. Things that grow and nourish proper spirit, good spirit. So if you're coming on the show for the first time, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now here's some rules. Don't feel intimidated. This is probably one of the best places you could be at this point in time of the day. Why? Because I have an extraordinary group of people who come here on the show. I call them the Shout Out Show family, the Shout Out Show soldiers. They're using the comment section. But let me go further. There's some people who don't get in the comment section, but tune in every day. Clifford Moss Jr., thank you so much. They tune in every day. Maybe they don't want to get in the comment section, but they like the content and they let me know as such. So I appreciate that too. So, other thing, we're trying to get to 160 subscribers. So, if you know anybody, please go to YouTube, click the notification button, the like button, the subscription button, and we get to 160. Who knows? Who knows? We may go big and get 161. Okay. Now, before I get started, I want to say that we had our show yesterday. We had our 365th show. We had some technical difficulties, but I wanted you to know that the intent was there. And for the record, everybody knows whenever we try to do some type of a landmark show, something always goes wrong. Mother's Day went wrong. 100th episode went wrong. 200th episode went wrong. 300th episode went great. But it was just funny because it was just natural. And I have to say, brothers and sisters, I appreciate it because it's just so natural to have people on the show. It's like real TV. It's like really, really good community TV. So before I get started, let me give my shout out show people. Let me give my shout out show family. The stars in the building. First, we got Altaf Rashid. In case you don't know him, this man is famous, brothers and sisters. He is the official ambassador, Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. Now, he might be the ambassador to several other shows, but doggone it, we made him the ambassador to our show first. So, Altaf, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, brother. Thank you again for being a supporter, a brother, and a stand-up man, and an ambassador as well. All right. We got Sister Ika. Ika's coming all the way from Indonesia, brothers and sisters. All the way from Indonesia. not from Jakarta, but from that part. And she's just recently had a birthday, just celebrated. She said she's 21 years old. That's right. She's 21 years old with a 19-year-old son. We ain't trying to say nothing. Don't do the math. All right. Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for your well wishes on my mother. Hopefully she's gonna get discharged today. So please make dua. That's why I'm in the kitchen. I'm not cooking anything, but I'm in the kitchen. My mom has my mom has a whole printer in the kitchen. I'm like, what you cooking up? Copies? All right. I'll leave Mary alone on that one. And we got my brother, none other than the world famous Johnny L. Thomas. What's going on, little brother? Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Make dua for mom. Inshallah, she'll be coming home, being discharged today from doctor's hospital right around the corner. But I'm in place. Our Maxine's in place. We are here. This is what we do. We are professional. That's right. This is what it is when your family says, I got you, and I'm on post. I know if this looks familiar to you because it's probably what you guys do with your family members. So for all it's worth, listen, I'm very, very pleased, and hopefully mom will be home soon. So let me just give her a heads up. I might have to leave the show if I get a call from the hospital or the electrician because I have some things going on here at the house. But you're in capable hands with Sister Sultana. But I think we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna be all right. Who we got next? And we have Sister Sultana Whitfield, the grandmaster behind the control booth, brothers and sisters. She's making things happen. See, no hands, and she's making this thing seamless, and I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Sister Sultana. Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ramadan Kareem to you too. I want to give a shout out to my main man, Omar Kareem, who I reached out to when I landed. I said, brother, I need an electrician. He said, man, I'm going to call you in an hour. You need him now? You need him tomorrow? I said, man, I need him now. He said, I got you. Omar Kareem from Banneker Ventures, one of the top minority-owned real estate development companies in the United States. Big shout out, O. So our spotlight is why the poor matter. Why the poor matter? I didn't say why they're important. I said why they matter. So let me preface this by saying last night I was speaking as part of a Ramadan reflection at this particular masjid. Big shout out to Imam Ahmed. I was speaking about one of my Ramadan experiences, and as I talked about it, I had this amazing, let me say this, I had this amazing epiphany about what I was talking about. So the story goes, it was Ramadan. You guys know the story. If you don't, I'll rehash it for you. The story goes, I was doing Ramadan, and I was in Milwaukee. At this point in time, I'm still learning my deen. I'm not as tight as I want to be. I'm in and I'm out. I'm struggling. The one thing I try to do is, get the Juma and do Ramadan, because those are things I thought I could control. But here I am this one day. I'm not in the spirit of Ramadan. I just want to break fast as soon as the sun goes down. You hear me? As soon as the sun goes down. Let me get this thing over with. So, brothers and sisters, there I am, literally with the newspaper looking at what time the sun is going to go down. I'm standing in line. I'm trying to time it so that when I get the line, I could actually order my food as the sun goes down so I don't have to wait. I don't know anything about, I'm not versed on iftar or anything like that. Somewhere along the line, I get very, very patient. And I believe that I should be somehow waited on or catered to in a special way because I'm fasting. Forget all the other people who are in this food establishment. I'm fasting. It doesn't matter if they're not Muslim. I'm in my mind. I'm delusional. I'm thinking I should be the first one to be served. Don't you understand what I'm doing for my Lord? Nobody understood. People looked at me like I was crazy. And essentially, I got upset. I got upset to the point where I said, I'm not going to patronize this business with my money because they didn't treat me like I should be treated in my delusional state. They actually treated me like I should be treated delusional. But, brothers and sisters, I walked outside and I saw a guy eating out of a trash can. Eating, like picking his food like it was a buffet, right? Like he was making a buffet out of food that had been thrown out. He's putting it in his little cart, like a little wagon. And it was cold. It was in Milwaukee. Milwaukee it's only warm for like 2 weeks out of the year. But that's a whole nother story. So I saw the guy eating out of trash can. Somehow this irritated me. And I don't mean irritated me like, compassion. I was like, what the heck are you doing? It's coming from a very, very hardened heart. You see what I'm saying? It's coming from a very, very stiff and cold heart. And I didn't see compassion or mercy towards this guy. I was like, you look like an idiot. Like, you haven't seen people, So I did one of those. And I was like, dude, don't eat out of trash can. And I took this money and I literally threw it at the guy. Like, here, take that. I didn't even know his name. You know what I called him? I didn't ask his name, brothers and sisters. I called him Bum. I was like, hey, Bum. Yo, you bum. Hey, Bum. Hey. I said, don't eat out of the trash can tonight. And I threw the money to him. And as I turned, I flippantly said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And as I walked towards my car, I heard this brother say, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak. Now, I've told the story many times, and I'm not ashamed to say, I broke down. I cried like a newborn. I cried like a newborn. And the reason I cried was, one, in an effort where I had an opportunity to help somebody, I had bungled it miserably. Not only had I bungled it, but I had impugned this man's dignity. And let me tell you why I had impugned his dignity. And it didn't occur to me why deeper till I was talking about it last night. This other side of that story was I felt bad and I went back to him to make amends. And we decided that we were going to eat together. I said, well, brother, you're Muslim? Yes. He was Muslim and homeless and eating out of a trash can. And we talked as we ate. We talked as we ate. And for very, very selfish reasons, I felt better about the situation because I felt like I had amended it. But let me tell you how blessed this man was. Pay attention. This is how blessed this man was. I did not understand fully until last night what I had missed. What I had missed was this. That as that man was pulling that food out of the trash can and putting it in his wagon, I totally missed that in that situation of being homeless and taking food out of a trash can, brothers and sisters, that this man was observing his fast. He was fasting. He wasn't eating the food out of the trash can. He was putting it there to eat later, after he broke his fast. This was his iftar. Any other time, it'd be a guy eating out of the trash can. In his devotion and focus and dedication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this guy didn't even have an iftar. And when he pulled out of the trash can, he was so tied into the spirit, tied into his service, tied into his dedication and his worship that this man who made iftar out of a trash can waited to eat it. He waited to eat it. Think about the fool who was in the restaurant, mad about people not treating him correctly because he was fasting. That fool was me. I called him a bum. I didn't call him a brother. I didn't call him a sir, friend. I called him a bum. And all too often, we don't know the names of the poor. We don't. Sometimes we drop something in the basket and we keep it moving. And it lifts our hearts for a little bit. Just so you know, I found out his name. His name was not Bum or Hey Bum. His name was Lewis. And Lewis and I had a meal. And we broke bread. And Lewis told me stories about his family. He told me stories about how we got to that situation. He said, yeah, I made some bad decisions. I had some substance abuse problems. But you know what he said? I am so happy to be here right now having food with a brother. With a brother. And that brother was blessed to be me. Lewis blessed me with his presence at Iftar. And all I'm saying is, we all have to endeavor to find the Lewises in our communities, to find the Lewises in our lives and protect them and serve them. We have absolutely no excuse. You see why the reason why the poor matter? Because the poor do something that we overlook. The poor work in the most destitute and difficult of situations, but they do it with dignity. For clarity, we didn't eat the stuff out of the trash can, Lewis and I. I went and got some food and I told him, hey, that other money you keep. And I said this, let me apologize to you, Lewis. I said, first, let me apologize for my arrogance. Second, let me apologize for my callousness. Third, let me apologize because you're just the brother that I happened to stop and talk to. There was hundreds of thousands of Lewises that I overlooked. And we say, why does the poor matter? Because people think that the poor is about financials and do you have a house? Do you have a car? No, it's the spirit. It is the spirit. You see, the poor have something that many of us don't have, which is an everyday exercise in faith, in practice, in crisis. Faith, in practice, in crisis. I was talking to my dad a couple weeks ago, and we never really talked about it, because I was a kid, I was the youngest grandkid, and all that type of stuff. My dad said something to me, and basically we laugh about it because I'm a comedian. He's a funny guy too. But in his way, he was like saying, son, when I grew up, we were poor. I never got to see that as a kid, because people in their careers and things, but we were poor. And they had hardships. And I was blessed to miss those things. When I say blessed to miss those things, I mean, I came down, I came along when my dad had a good job. My mom had a good job. My aunts and everybody was working. Everybody was gainfully employed. But my father, if I asked him, name me somebody who in this case was a Lewis, he can give you a plethora of people. He might say, hell, we were all Lewises when we were coming up. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, I like to walk the earth. What I miss about not traveling is sometimes you can just go someplace knowing that nobody knows your name, nobody knows your face. And when you see people, you meet them at a level. It's a very honest level and it has a lot of integrity because people are going to tell you how they feel, what they're thinking, what they're dreaming. For me, I was exposed to Lewis's, a lot of them. As a teacher, as an educator, because children are extremely honest about their position, extremely honest about their condition and the condition of their families. The poor matter because they remind us of a certain dignity that we don't have. I remember going over to South Africa, some trip I did over to South Africa. I've been over there maybe like 3 times. But when we were in Johannesburg, the host took me to speak to some young kids, some young South African kids. And I remember riding like an hour and a half. Like we ran out of road like the first 15 minutes. It was a really bumpy ride. They said, we got a school. They said, we got a school. We have a masjid. We have housing. And as we pulled in, I started looking for the school and the masjid and the housing. To my surprise, brothers and sisters, I damn near missed it. It was that small. And the school and the masjid were one and the same. And they opened the door up, and there was about 80 kids. Beautiful, black, shining faces. 80 kids. And I was so nervous. And the reason I was so nervous is because I could tell that these kids were poor. But they were making it easy on me by showing me so much hospitality and generosity. They wanted me to feel okay about the fact that they were in this position. And I kept saying, what is it that makes these people do this? What is it that makes the poor matter? And I'm going to tell you this. And I got this from a good friend of mine. He's a comedian named Ali Sadiq. Very funny. Check him out. I talked to Ali about being in prison. He had done some time in prison. And I said, Ali, you came out of prison. You didn't have anything. I mean, you're getting ready to get a TV show now. I said, what is it? You came out of prison. He said, man, I was poor. Poor when I went out. I was poor when I came out. I said, I understand. I said, what is that thing that you have that my poor brothers and sisters have that we overlook? And this is what he said. He said, man, every day I wake up, he said, I'm like a bird. Dig that. He said, every day I wake up, I'm like a bird. I'm light like a bird. And he says, I realize that whatever is going to happen, whatever's going to happen that day or go on that day, he said, dig this. I know at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to provide for me. And why the poor matter is this. It's because they have confidence and faith that's unparalleled. See, when you get things, you get a little comfortable. You've been getting to think on the average and the numbers that it's going to happen. Have you ever been out, not had any money, not had any place to stay, not have a place to call to go get some money? And in your heart, you go, wait a minute. Whatever's going to go on, at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to provide for me. That's what I'm saying. I think you guys know exactly what I'm saying. You know, Arabic is tawakkul. Tawakkul. I believe in tawakkul. It's one thing to have faith, but it's another thing to have belief. And the rate of belief among the poor is off the charts. And I believe the poor matter because when us people of faith falter, we look to people who have belief. We look to people who are believers. So when I reflect on my friend Leon, I'm sorry, Lewis, my friend Lewis, you know, as he was eating, you know, I'm always calculating. I'm like, you know what? I get a blessing for that meal. Every chew you get, he gets a blessing. I'm like, hey, Lewis. He's like, yeah. I say, hey, chew that food a little bit more. Just, I don't want you to choke, but I want to get more blessings. So I asked Lewis, I said, hey, man, what do you need after we ate? I said, what do you need? I said, I don't know where you're going to go. You know what he said? I don't know where I'm going to go either, but when I get there, I'll know where I'm supposed to be. I said, come on, man, stop playing. It's cold, da-da-da. He said, no. He said, brother, if I need your help, I'll find you. I'm like, how you going to find me? He's like, I guess, I don't know. But what I appreciate was that he took the time to show me that dignity, to let me be in his presence, the presence of an extreme, supreme believer of what's coming and what's happening, a supreme believer in the unseen, al-khayb, the unseen, brothers and sisters. I hope and pray all of us get to that point. We were like Lewis. Like we wake up in the morning like Ali Sadiq and feel like a bird, brothers and sisters. We feel like a bird. And you know what that bird is? That bird flies, you know why? Because you're not dealing with burdens. And being able to say with pride, whatever is going on, brothers and sisters, whatever's going on, at the end of the day, my Lord is going to provide for me. Can you imagine that feeling just across the United States, across the world? It doesn't even have to be Islam. What if everybody said, hey, listen, at the end of my day, my Lord is going to provide for me, and my Lord is going to provide for you. And you start talking about mountains moving. You're talking about categorical change, if you will. We're talking about fundamental paradigm shifts because people, for so much, think that it all depends on them. You remember the thing I showed you about from DMX? DMX said, sometimes, the Lord slams you down, and you get back up, and you think it's you getting back up, so he slams you down more. And he slammed you down more till you get up and go, wait a minute, I can't make it. And then that's when you realize, I need the Lord. I need Allah. I need God. Lewis, in his own way, was showing me that, you know what? Maybe he was at that point. He was at that point of belief. Maybe he was going through a process, brothers and sisters. I don't know if Lewis is still homeless. I don't know if he's on the street anymore, but maybe he was going through a process. And maybe for some of us, the challenge is not being homeless. And maybe the challenge is being a good husband, being a good wife, or being a good father, being a good mother. Maybe the challenge is, doing the right thing in the most uncomfortable situations, scenarios. Maybe that's the thing. His was being homeless. But brothers and sisters, to strip it down whereby the cell phone can't help us, the social media can't help us, our families can't help us, that you have to take it directly to God and say, here I am, this is what I need. That's the most powerful thing in the world, So, I just want to share that with you guys. Wa alaikum assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is my main man, Abdul Malik Ahmed from Native Dean. I brag on this brother, and I'm going to brag on him now. You talk about a guy in the entertainment business that's never changed. Ups and downs, the business, good and bad. This brother's solid, man. Every time I see him, he's got a smile on his face. He's got a glow on his face. He's got extra noor. He's got cocoa butter with extra noor in it. And when I see him, I smile. You know what? Because that's a guy like Ali Sadiq. He's like a bird. And at the end of the day, he knows that his Lord is gonna provide for him. And it's always good to hang out with you, brother. I appreciate you and thank you. I know sometimes I crack a lot of jokes and I give you a hard time, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't appreciate you. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahmad Shaheed, man, brother, good kutbah yesterday, Aki. Good kutbah. This is another brother, man. This is another bird right here, man. These brothers are like unfatigable. They are defatigable. They are always in that way of service and guidance. And, and I take notes from them. B, I take inspiration from them. And D, sometimes I take instruction from them. And I don't mind, when people work hard like that, when people, and I say this, when people are really, really hard and they work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's really easy to humble yourself around them, to look at them and the work that they're doing and designate, this is important. The masjid has these food giveaways. You have them all around the city. They have these food giveaways. And I remember saying to a person who was putting food in the person's trunk, I said, hey, brother, can I talk to you a minute? He goes, yeah, what's going on? I said, listen, man, when you put the food in that trunk, can you do me a favor? He goes, what? I said, man, smile. I said, smile. I said, make it look like they're doing you a favor. And maybe that's why the poor matter. Because for everything in this materialistic world, you need to have somebody let you know what? They are doing us a favor. They remind us. They remind us in these different places. They remind us that, what? Somewhere somebody's suffering. You may have just caught them suffering at that point in time. Maybe it's, not have enough money or food or drugs or whatever. Maybe you caught them in that situation, but it snaps you into a space. It pulls you into a certain type of reality whereby you've got to be thankful. The blessing of this Ramadan for me and all the other Ramadans is that it moved me from faith to believing. I can read the Quran, yeah, but if I go out in the street and I see somebody hungry and it doesn't bother me, I just wasted time reading. If I see somebody hurting and I don't say a kind word, I just wasted my fast. It's a lot gets up in your mind and unclogs a lot of thoughts, man. And I want to give a shout out wherever he is. I want to give a shout out to my main man, Lewis. Wherever you are, brother, I want to thank you, for being respectful towards me after I was so disrespectful towards you. That's number one. And then number two, you know what? Letting me see Allah's mercy, class, and dignity work through you. Because, of course, I had none. So big shout out. Let me also give a big shout out to Sister Reed. They just got back from Grand Rapids, Michigan, from my grandmother passed away. Man, Allah be pleased with her. And they drove back to Houston. Safe travel. I'm glad you made it back safely, and I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, I know you feed the homeless, Reed. See, Reed, and the homeless, and all the homeless got high blood pressure and cholesterol. I'm sorry, we have to throw it. That's how good the food is. Homeless be sleepy after Reed's finished food. They're like, that was good. So listen, let me. I had to throw that in. Yeah, you got cocoa butter with Noor. I mentioned, yes, we always have work. Appreciate you making us smile while we still getting in the trenches. Yeah, well, I'm supposed to be in the trenches, man. But everybody in the war, you got to have a court gesture. So I try and make sure that's it. So listen, brothers and sisters, you guys figure out what it is you want to think about in terms of why the poor matter. I've expressed my feelings. In closing, I would say, hey, listen, let's not discover Lewis's. Let's go looking for them. And let them know that they matter. Okay, let's get to our sponsors, brothers and sisters. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. If you don't want to go to that website, you can actually call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. Big shout out to Miss Maxine Cade, big sponsor of the Shout Out Show. Also want to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. If you're interested in pursuing a degree in religious studies, give them a call or go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. Listen, it's a lot of work, but I got my degree from those guys. So, hey, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. All right? And I will be there every step of the way to help and support you. Also, don't sit around thinking, I ain't got the money, I ain't got the time. If you can make the time, they will find the money. I was on a scholarship 3 years, and alhamdulillah, I'm graduating next month, as a matter of fact, and you're all invited. So listen, we're going to get out of here. You guys have been amazing. I hope you have a blessed day. And let me give a shout out to my main man, Lewis. Love you, guy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.